Okay, and starting the stream. Hey everyone, this is OotiniCast, episode 356, and it is March 14th of 2019. And with me is Doc. Hey Doc.
Hi Joe.
Hey, and unfortunately, our scheduled guest, Fiber Jedi, has had a really rough week, and not only is he in a great deal of pain, but apparently his voice has become very, very rough as well. So he just can't do a show right now. So we wish him the best. Hope he does better. If you remember him from previous episodes, or perhaps catching him on cryptography as well. It's not one of those things that ever completely goes away, but they do come in waves, and hopefully this wave of pain and excess pain and discomfort goes away for him soon. So so we're gonna get the actual show going here in just a moment. Let me actually pull up Twitch so I can actually see the people. Okay. Alright, looks good. And then I'll tweet things out, and then we'll get the actual show rolling. Okay. Okay. Are you ready, Doc? Because I know you're on short. Yeah, you're on short time. So.
Yeah.
I have a little more water. I gotta pause the Twitch because it is too distracting to watch myself out of the corner of my eye, especially when it's time delayed like that.
Yeah. It's like you're a different person for a second.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. All right. Let me get my. I also like to get my chair really close to the mic for when we're doing a live show.
Yeah.
Different from gaming.
I'm pulling up the show notes really quick.
Okay. Yeah, I'll wait for you.
I got him.
Okay, good. Okay, let's go in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that will be taking control over the weapon it first spoke of years ago, effective immediately. This is episode 356, being recorded on Thursday, March 14th, 2019. I'm your host, Jill, and with me is my co-host, Dr SWTOR. Hey, Doc.
Hey, Jill. It's nice to be shockingly alive. How are you?
Yes, exactly. I'm doing great. Unfortunately, someone who's not doing so well today is Fiber Jedi. He was scheduled to come, but if you might remember, from when he was on as a past guest, his name is because he does have fibromyalgia. The pain never goes away completely, but it does sort of come in waves, and he had a really bad week this week, and unfortunately it got so bad that actually today his voice as well is starting to crack, and he's having some troubles even just talking normally, so unfortunately cannot make it. So we wish him well. We do hope that this wave of pain goes away for him very soon, and we have tentatively scheduled him for a few shows out. The next few shows are going to be interesting because the next show is going to be the last show before Star Wars Celebration. I'm hoping to have Deck and Fee on. We're going to have to juggle that with whatever is going on with Doc's schedule as well. Or maybe we can do it as a separate interview or something like that. But I would like to check in with Deck and Fee right before they head off to Celebration. The show after that is going to be on the Celebration weekend. If we do hold it on Thursday, it will be the first day of Celebration. Doc and I might have to talk about that. Maybe we'll end up postponing it a couple of days and doing it right after the Cantina instead. If the Cantina is going to be broadcast live, hopefully it would be, but we don't know. So we'll be talking about that as well. But then it looks like the show after that, we have tentatively scheduled Fiber Jedi back in. So so we're looking forward to having him on. And again, wish him the best. So, Doc, how you been? What you been doing in game?
Well, just listening to you guys started, Chill, I'm going to just say if Celebration is great, you're going to start getting text messages from me, and we might accidentally end up on air anyway. So, I think that we're at the calm before the storm, so to speak. At least I really hope we are. So last week, I challenged our community to relax a little bit, engage our mindfulness techniques, and trust the developers to continue giving us the game that we enjoy and love to play. And I feel very much the same way about the greater Star Wars right now, too. We have nothing. We have no title. We have no additional news about what's going to end up on Disney Plus other than the things that were sort of foregone conclusions. There are some surprises in there, like we have the Rogue One tie-in show starring Diego Luna, and Clone Wars coming back. Even if you're expecting it, that's quite a shocking development. And but we don't know anything about new stuff. So this is the first Celebration in 5 of them that I won't be at. So I'm going to be just watching my smartphone, and OotiniCast might have to get involved. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's very exciting. Like I say, we do want to have Deck and Fee on for the next show to sort of, catch their fever right before they head out, and also just see what else they've planned and that sort of thing. SWTOR has been tweeting and YouTubing a lot about what she's going to be doing. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And yeah, it's really going to be, next few weeks are going to be great for Star Wars fans of all stripes, and I think especially for Star Wars: The Old Republic, because it really does look like they want to do something special for the Cantina. It's definitely been hinted that some good stuff will be coming out around then. So that's going to be a very exciting time to be watching the game.
Yeah, I really hope that Disney is looking at, now that they're wrapping up the Skywalker stuff, as so we've been told. So that frees them up to show us and deliver us Star Wars, but not have it chained to anyone with Skywalker blood. And
right.
And it's going to be great if they look at the true depth of what they bought for that $4.5 billion, and instead of scrapping it, try to repurpose it and make it their own and introduce it into their era of Star Wars. There's so many great things that are lying dormant that very creative and talented people have created already, and if they need to tweak it to make it their own, that's better than completely scrapping the idea. And the Old Republic represents one of those very large ideas. So, I'm trying to guard my emotions right now, because if I let them ramp up, then I could get crushed with disappointment later. But I like that the Cantina is part of Celebration, the Cantina for our game. And I hope that, we get to 6.0 in our game. I hope that Disney starts looking at this game like we've already, the people we bought this huge thing from decided to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into this, and people still play it every day. So if Disney were to embrace the Old Republic as a multimedia opportunity, they would have a show or a movie or a cartoon or whatever they decide to do with a fully realized MMO behind it. So it could be huge, right? Because other MMOs don't have fully realized shows associated with them in that way. So it's all just about marketing savvy and having the guts to move forward with something. And we have no Skywalkers in our universe.
That's right.
That's my sales pitch, Chill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's exactly no Skywalkers that they've pointed out anyway. That's for sure.
Except for all those legacy names with apostrophes and umlauts in them.
There you go. Yeah. All right. What you been doing in game?
Oh man, I've been imagining that I'm in game. So I had a really big presentation over here in Arizona last Monday, and so that took out honestly weeks of game time from me. Um, so I had 4 hours of presenting at this event, and it went really well. And
Nice.
super excited. I got to do more talking about loot boxes, and so talking about games that utilize them. So specifically, Overwatch makes an appearance in my presentation, Galaxy of Heroes. I showed a video of a loot box opening for our game,
Mm.
SWTOR, and told the story again of Patient Zero who lost tens of thousands of dollars on loot box playing in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. And for me in my profession, that's important because if you go 100 square miles from where I'm sitting right now, I might be the only counselor who pays attention to loot boxes because we're just so focused on depression, anxiety, alcoholism, and all these other things that we're trained about in the classroom.
Right.
And then this new stuff kind of, I still could not get the audience to, when they're asking me questions at the end, they framed all of them as, so when kids do this, and I corrected 3 or 4 people in a row that, kids do not have $20,000 to spend on loot boxes over a span of 18 months. We are talking about adults with debit cards and bank accounts and credit histories and spouses and children. And they weren't getting it, but it was a really fun presentation. At one point, I had to, yeah, when I was listing that these are adults, I said, these are people in the workforce right now. These are people who are providing keynote presentations at conferences right now. Because me, right? And
Right.
I just saw so many light bulbs not being turned on in the room when I said that. But it's just
So,
a new
so they were.
new idea.
So you're saying they were all just sort of fixed in on the idea of what think of the children. What about the
Yeah,
children?
right.
And that is obviously that's a factor. That is
Yeah,
a topic, an important one. But
it is.
your point was kids aren't whales. They're not. They're not
Right.
the ones that the companies really can go after to get a lot of money from.
Right. I couldn't get them to understand what the concept of a whale is. And how
Interesting.
even when you're whaling, you don't get the thing you want. Like, just if I go into SWTOR right now and I buy a hyper crate of that, the loot box that, right now the loot box has basically everything in it, right?
Pretty much. If you're talking about the ultimate packs, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I buy a hyper crate of ultimate packs, that does not guarantee if I spend $500 today on those and just open boxes all afternoon, I'm not going to get a Defiant vented lightsaber, right? Well, if I do, then I'm incredibly lucky, right? That I
Right.
got the exact thing that I wanted,
Right.
right? And so it's just this whole thing where so Chill, you asked me how much SWTOR I'm playing, and I went off on what SWTOR has been for me the last couple weeks. But I'll get in game with you. I've run Osis maybe 3 times to get the artifact box and to kill the world bosses and get the shiny crystal, whatever the masterwork
Right.
crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And I've
Shiny.
right. Um, yeah, and so the random stuff hasn't worked out for me. I keep getting the wrong relic or the boots that I already have, but not the pants. But at least there's a mechanism where I can kill the world bosses and get some medals in a PvP match and then have control over what I purchase. So, cranky me does not believe in RN Jesus. It's just not a thing that works for me, and I've shared that repeatedly on the show.
Right. When you
Uh,
have a 1 out of 4 chance and you're not getting it, what are the odds when it's 1 out of 1,000?
Well, right, yeah. So there's multiple relics that no one needs that are also in the drop list for those boxes, and at least the boxes are segmented into upper body, lower body, and then the tech boxes
Right.
because that makes it so you can plan ahead and you know, these two tunes are going to always open the upper body until I have all the upper body stuff. And so there is a strategy behind it. It's just a disappointing one for me. And the Mind Trap this week had some really interesting conversation around it. I'm being accused of, oh, Lord Vader's calling. Sorry. All right. So I'm being accused of misleading the player base because I asked a question where, you know, it's multiple choice. So one answer is the right answer this time around. But,
Interesting.
But I've noticed that when you're in game, nobody seems to know what the right answer is. And so I'm basically pleading with BioWare to fix something by drawing attention to, this is really confusing to the people who love your game, and this is a group content activity. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But I put, you know, work life has dominated me this set of 2 weeks. But my Thursday class ends in a month, so probably 2 more episodes of OotiniCast, and we can look back at going to Thursday evenings. And I'm looking forward to that becoming a more stable arrangement.
Sounds good.
Yeah. How are you doing, Chill?
Doing great. Let's see who's in the chat room on this unusual time. Ooh, boy, we're starting off with one that's hard to pronounce. Banana Nanan is here. Commander Root. Dekion is here. Hey, Dek. Diggity82. Evans04111. Floridan. Kitty Kisses is here. Hey, Kitty. Intisar _Nor, KJSMLD, Nanders, PDG, Quayak, Siskaik is Squitchy Twitchy, SWTOR's here. I don't know if that's Eric or maybe it's Dan. I don't know, but hey. VNK is here, Virgo Praz, and Marcus from Working Class Nerds is here as Working Class Nerd 17. Hey, everyone. All right. Mostly working on my Snape cosplay tune. He is now, I think, where was he? Last show. I think he was like almost to Zyos. I think he was on Yavin 4 or something like that. He's now all the way to the start of Kotfi, so I've gotten of Kotet. I've gotten all the way through Kotfi, and he's just about to start Kotet. And he's got 4 of the 7 armor set bonuses. I think he's somewhere in, I don't know, the 60s or something in terms of CXP boxes. And I'm really enjoying the lightning spec. And it says lighting spec. I'm going to change that. There we go. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It was fun to see the turn. I'm trying to do the Snape thing to, you know, kind of along the lines of Harry Potter. You can't really parallel it completely, but there's a few parallels, you know. So I started him dark, and he's gonna go. So he's sort of secret light now. He's switched to light, but he's still doing occasional dark choices, but you know, more and more light.
Yeah.
And the idea is kind of like how in Harry Potter Snape had sort of a connection to the big bad that, you know, that ends up you know, affecting both of them in profound ways, especially towards the end of the story. So it kind of works, and it's a lot of fun. And it's funny. The only reason I did this cosplay at all was when I was making a different character. I noticed that it had like the Snape haircut, you know, with like the hair that basically hangs down both sides of your face.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, that's Snape's hair, and I just joked that, and then it kind of stuck in my head, and it's like, well, we have a sorcerer in the game. Yeah. Why not make a Snape character? So yeah. So
awesome.
That's what I've been up to. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, that's been most of it. I've been enjoying that. All right. As far as tip of the week, we didn't have any tips sent in this week. I did not send out a reminder to anyone, so sorry about that. If you do have any tips of the week, however, send them in. You could get a chance to win a Tonfon or M83R Droid pet code, courtesy of BioWare, and an OotiniCast provided Cartel Market pack from the latest shipment. So if you have a tip, send it to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. And that will bring us to the Jedi Mind Trap. Doc?
You know, just in terms of shameless self-promotion, the Mind Trap could be repurposed as a tip of the week by the time we're done talking about it, Chill.
Okay,
so let's just keep our mind open to that. So this week, I just wanted to have a nice, lighthearted question, really me asking the developers to look at this and do more than explain it to us. Please fix this, because it actually ruined my one evening that I got to play SWTOR last week.
Okay.
So I got my wife in the game, and she has not done the world bosses before, so she doesn't have the 252 main hand or offhand, and I've killed them a lot, at least every other week since we got this planet, and maybe more. And there are weeks where I do it on, at the beginning, 3 or 4 characters. So these bosses are not really a joy to do anymore. They're more like a chore. But the bug boss in particular has a very high rate of not rewarding the 24 players who just won the fight. And so when you're in these groups, you're not in groups normally, in my experience, where you know the people. You're just random people on Osis forming a ragtag crew of people who want to get a masterwork crystal. And
Right.
so some people end up being leaders and kind of explaining things, and some people just sit back and do their role, and some people say they're healers, but they don't throw any heals out, and that's a whole different mind trap. So why is the bug boss bugged? Why can we kill it and no one gets the reward? So Chill, before we talk about the voting and actually the post from Eric that has explained this,
Yes.
do you know the answer to the question?
Well, I didn't until I went through until I was going through the until I was going through like the news over the last day or two, and then I saw it when I actually first read your post. However, I actually just retweeted it so other people would see it, but I did not vote because I did not know the answer. When I have done the bug boss, but I did it with the guild, and that was a few weeks ago, and they knew what they were doing, or maybe or maybe we just got lucky and the bug didn't happen. I'm not sure. Even that was my very first time, so I don't even know that much. Like I don't even know if they were quietly like making sure the bug didn't happen, or if we just got lucky and it just didn't happen anyway. But yeah. So yeah, I just quietly retweeted it this time and didn't vote.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter if you get this question right, because it's a poll. I'm not grading it. The dominant group voted option B, the ads are bugged, and this is the true answer. So there are the larger ones, I believe they're guardians. Mm-hmm. This is the downside of not looking at words when you play SWTOR. Just health bars.
Right.
And so when you kill them, they explode and they send this nice green goo everywhere, and that causes tick damage or some kind of damage to even their allies around it, including the boss.
Right.
And so I was brought back when I read this explanation. Do you remember in the Dark vs. Light event and how Depths of Manon had this problem where if the fire ticks the damage off of Stivastin, and he dies because of that tick damage, then you just did this whole master flashpoint for nothing? So this is a resurgence of a bug that we're all very familiar with if we've tried to do these achievements over the years. That damage from the exploding guardians, if it causes the world boss to die, no one gets their masterwork crystal, no one gets their main hand lightsaber, and you have to just go to a different phase and try to kill him again. And in one night of playing, I killed this boss 4 times, and option A, the wall is bugged. Option C, the fight zone is bugged, meaning someone wasn't in the arena when we started the fight. And then somebody rezzed, don't res, just leave everyone dead. These are all things that the group that I was in on that Sunday night were trying to figure out as ways to pretend we understand what's going on and pretend we have control and pretend we understand this game, when really it's something deep under the hood that's just an accident of putting different rows of text over here and then all the way over here, and they just don't play well together. And so we've learned in the news that the ads are bugged. And so I'm just bringing this up because hopefully people listen to our show and they just received the correct answer. My phone a friend, which is the SWTOR community, worked too. 40% had the right answer. And I just think it's important because I've seen people say mean things to other people over information that is wrong. Like
Right.
Don't bleep, 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 tank him against the bleep, bleep wall. That's bugged. And it's like we are treating people as less than human because we are sure we're right when we're not right. The developers are going to tell us what the right answer is, but meanwhile, you just kind of mistreated all the people. Like, we're teaming up to kill a video game boss, people. Let's be respectful.
Right.
It is frustrating to kill it 4 times in one night and not even get the thing. So I actually logged out, and my wife did it one more time, and she did get her blaster. So that's cool. I didn't get my crystal though. So that's where we got with the poll. So I did not tweet anything about what the correct answer is, so maybe I did mislead the community a little bit, but you should listen to OotiniCast, everyone. So thanks to everyone who's here today. And if you want the answer to my wonderful questions, you are not entitled to that on Twitter until the episode has aired.
Okay.
So take that. All right, so with that, let's go about our business. Chill, move along.
All right, that'll bring us to the Holo feed. And let's see, well, we'll go ahead and start. Game Update 5.10.2, Heralds of Victory is coming. And this is a little post from SWTOR itself. When Game Update 5.10 Jedi Under Siege launched, guilds received a boost in the form of new guild leveling and PvP challenge systems, as well as new management tools. Seeing guilds flourish from this, with Game Update 5.10.2 Heralds of Victory, we're planning to add even more for guilds. The new feature is called Guild Heraldry, and it'll be another tool for guilds to rally behind. Now, this is something that they've mentioned before was coming, but now we know when it's coming. It's coming in the next batch, in the next update. Each guild can create their own emblem to represent them throughout the game. Between the combination of icons, background details, and a variety of colors, guilds will be able to create something truly unique. A guild's emblem will be displayed in the general guild window, on the Conquest planetary leaderboards, and many other places. So hopefully they will have a Jawa for us of some sort. But yeah, this will be good.
Yeah.
So obviously, Deck and Fee will be all over this. We'll have to talk with them on the next show and see what their plans are. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun for them. On top of that, there will also be a general quality of life improvement as the preview window has been dramatically improved. So this is the preview, meaning like when you're previewing gear and stuff like that. Characters are now displayed on mounts instead of to the side, which tended to happen mostly with like creature mounts, but also like certain like walkers and stuff like that too. New animation button, so that will be interesting. Because usually, other than being able to draw and holster a weapon, there's really no animation going on in the preview window. Unlocks like emotes, moods, and rest and recharge abilities are now able to be previewed, so that's completely new. Visual effects are better displayed, and I'm not sure exactly what that means. I don't know, but hopefully we'll just notice that it looks a little better, I guess. And
right.
the window will now have a panel showing what combination of gear is currently being shown. Very nice.
Yeah, so they're just making it smoother and more visually appealing.
Yeah. Leading up to the release of Heralds of Victory, there'll be additional articles that will go more into depth about these changes, so we might get more about that visual effects thing that you can expect to see in the future. And join your most trusted allies and make your mark on the galaxy with Heralds of Victory coming in April 2019. So we do now have a general time frame that is coming next month. So that'll be good too.
Yep, and that's another big set of small changes to things in our game. So when we think back on 2019, I hope that we remember that things were getting changed throughout the whole year. The longer space in between those windows of updating, probably the bigger the changes look. So there are still little sets of small changes happening, and hopefully all for the better.
Right. All right. So let's see. We had Bounty Hunter Week that just completed. Rat Ghoul event's going to come back. Returns on March 19th. It's going to be on Tatooine this time. And so it's the usual, Rat Ghoul event stuff. Of course, if you're needing to get Dr. Loken back, then that's how you do it. So that's another time for you to work on that. But yeah, that'll be coming on the 19th. Then there's several articles on win trading. We can sort of touch on this. It's a little, it goes into, some pretty deep stuff. Mike Bradley mostly is the one who was doing these. He did several different win trading posts. He works as a live producer on the SWTOR team, and he writes, as Eric alluded to, I've recently been delving into ranked PvP, and I'd like to talk about win trading in the game. As win trading has become an umbrella term to describe a number of different cheating behaviors, I feel like it might be helpful to clarify at the onset some different types of manipulation this can refer to. Conspiring with others to intentionally trade wins and losses, queuing with bots to boost rating earned per win, or using multiple accounts to control the outcomes of individual matches. Any form of matchmaking manipulation to coordinate winning and losing is against our terms of service. While we are constantly evaluating and improving our existing methods for catching players who cheat, I realize that our current systems for reporting, catching, and punishing this behavior are not perfect. As I read through the forums, I see a lot of understandable frustrations. I think part of the cause of these frustrations is a lack of clarity on our behalf into how we punish individuals we've determined to be cheating or otherwise negatively affecting the gameplay experience in PvP. And so he does, so basically he talks about it, and, he kind of finishes that one with actions and resets are being finalized throughout the day-to-day for Season 10, and top 96 rewards will be delivered early next week, and later on they did confirm that they went out. And that often, the last few seasons actually, we've seen that, where the top 96 rewards especially go out well after the rest of the rewards, simply because they have to be very careful. They're looking at like a lot of individual accounts just to make sure that the ones who receive it, which are pretty hard to get and pretty exclusive. I mean, we're talking about 96 throughout the game basically,
right?
and they're wanting to make sure it's not going to someone who's been win trading. So they do tend to go out rather late. So,
and when you're reading this post, Chill, there are things that people are doing. They're so dedicated to the idea of winning, they don't care how cheap it is, and they actually are investing so much energy into cheating. They should probably just practice their class and become better at the game.
Exactly.
I mean, queuing with bots to boost your rating. Now, I'm not a ranked PvP player, but this is one of the risks when you kind of explain to people, hey, don't cheat and don't do these things. Like, if you are a cheater in your soul and that's who you are, then you just gave people possibly new ideas. Like, how do I create a bot to cheat the system? Because I'm not good enough to be in the top 96 anyway. So if they catch me and they deactivate my account, like, I mean, Chill, I don't know how deep this rabbit hole goes, but can't you just get a different email and sign up to play SWTOR and you just, like, lost your legacy? But if you're that much of a cheater, you're probably not invested in your actual characters and your legacy anyway, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't that I don't know. I would be very upset if I lost my account.
So the moral of the story is, SWTOR community, don't be dishonest, lying, cheating, waste of space scumbags. Play the game right. Win the matches that you should win. Lose the matches where you're not good enough, and enjoy the game. Because this is stupid. Like, I can't believe people play SWTOR this way, Chill.
Yeah. Before there's a little bit more on win trading, but there's also a note in here that the collection unlock sale ended a few days ago. Did you unlock anything this time around?
I found out about the sale after it was over.
Oh, darn. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. I knew about it, but I couldn't think of anything that I wanted to unlock. And then, of course, once it finished, then I realized, oh yeah, because I have several tunings that I've gotten on this character or that character, but I haven't unlocked them yet. So I'm next time I get it, there's a collection unlock sale. Whenever that happens, I'll probably unlock at least one tuning, if not a couple, because they happen to be one of the more expensive account-wide unlocks. They're for 600 CCs. It's like a lot. So, all right, and anyway, a little bit more on win trading, they actually they even restored some after they were banned. He's trying to answer the question, why were so many win traders or cheaters restored shortly after they were banned or wiped? I've seen variations of this question a few times, so let me try to shed some light on why this happened. Every action we take against an account for win trading is based on troves of data that we have collected. We looked at data on every character, every match played, who they played against, how many times, at what hour, whether or not they've been caught previously, and so on, and all of that is used to build the most compelling case possible. Towards the end of Season 10, we cast a much more aggressive net than we had previously, using several new data points that we believe would help us see more varieties of exploitative behavior. As we reviewed all the accounts that were caught within these latest criteria, we discovered that in certain cases, these new data points could mislead us. It became clear that rather than giving us additional conclusive evidence, there was a higher chance than we were comfortable with that we were also catching innocent players. In this case, where there was reasonable doubt, we erred on the side of caution. I know that one of your concerns is that by restoring these players, we may have allowed some win traders to get away with it. We completely hear you on this, and that's where we need to continue to improve our systems for catching them. We just didn't want to risk our net catching innocent players. We do not take or reverse actions based on the number of reports we receive on any account. We use the same rigorous scrutiny on accounts with 1 report of win trading as we would do with 10 reports. We monitor all accounts that have been reported, but the idea that we reset or restore an account's rating based purely on the volume of reports is false. I realize our process here is not perfect, but it does get more robust with every revision to our nets, with every batch of cheaters that we catch, and with every detailed report that we receive, with all the information that is shared here. So please keep it coming. Interesting here, and I do sort of personally appreciate that. Just in general, the idea that it's more important to make sure you don't punish the innocent, even at the expense of perhaps letting a few guilty slip through.
Yeah,
and it does sound like they're getting more and more rigorous, so that's good.
Yeah, it's really nice that we have Jedi Masters running our game, because they could totally be Darth Sidious and just say, wipe them out, all of them.
Right.
They could. I mean, don't play in a way that looks like you're cheating people. I don't know all the ins and outs, but that whole thing about what time you're playing and how there's some sophisticated thought going into what the wrong way is. That you would assume that if you're mechanically manipulating the game, you're going to have a more dependable pattern of behavior. Because if you're routinely getting matches easily in ranked, I see in Fleet all the time, queue for ranked. So that indicates to me that this is not a thing that pops the way that you would expect an MMO group content thing to pop. So if you're going into the game and getting matches easily, it's probably because you have some bots also queuing, making it very likely the match will happen. Right? So that's
possibly, yeah.
See, but now I'm helping the cheaters cheat better. I don't want to talk about this anymore, Chill.
Okay.
They don't deserve our exploration of how to do this better. BioWare, keep shutting them down.
Then he did have yet another part. This one we can kind of breeze through a little bit. It's basically about punishing hackers and non-participants. Basically, he just goes into the fact that if you're non-participants, in other words, people who queue for ranked but then actually don't do anything, essentially just sit there and force their team to lose, that also gets punished basically at the same level of other sorts of things.
Well, that's because you get 1 out of your 20 matches even if you lose. Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then he did also talk about how in Season 10 they moved to their no tolerance policy. And he says, I believe we did a poor job specifying exactly how that would be different from previous seasons. Functionally, what it meant is that we did away with warnings entirely. Any account that we found trading wins would immediately get a multiple-day suspension plus a rating reset, and the few accounts that did get caught more than once faced more severe punishments more quickly, up to and including bans. For Season 11, we will be taking additional steps on top of immediate suspensions and rating resets. These may include, but are not limited to, removing all ranked PvP currency, removing all PvP rewards purchased with that currency, and removal of all unassembled components from the offending accounts. We scour
Nice.
the game for win traders. Yeah, it's pretty solid. We scour the game for win traders and hackers several times a month, and we punish those accounts within the week they are found. If it would help bridge the gap between what it seems like we do and what we're actually doing, I can put together brief reports for this forum once a month, describing in as much detail as I can provide the actions we've taken and if we are seeing any broad trends in the data. Interesting.
Why are they explaining all of this to us, Chill? They're completely within reason to just do it.
That's true. I believe, though, that just being out front with the fact that there are punishments going on, I think is to help those who are more honest, just to let them know that we're actively trying to put an end to this. So
yeah, I don't wake up in the morning wondering if BioWare is going to deactivate my account because I don't do this crap. So.
Right.
Like, there's this little window of dishonest people who are just honest enough to stop doing it because BioWare told them it's wrong. But I think most people are going to not read this announcement, or they're going to be like, catch me if you can.
Maybe so.
So that might add an extra thrill to the concept of playing.
For some people, perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, man, we need to do some more mind traps about this. Win trading mind trap. Right. We probably can do one about what do you think about how angry Dr. SWTOR is at win traders, and just like, because I'm going off the deep end here.
Right. There's a interesting post, and was this one by Eric? Yes, it was by Eric. They did a special maintenance to get rid of an exploit, and before the maintenance, he was very cagey about specifying what it was about, or why they were even doing it. There was some indication that it was exploit related, but he didn't go into any details of what it was. After the maintenance, he wrote, our maintenance this morning was ultimately to address an exploit that popped up in game. In short, this exploit would allow a player for a brief period of time, 10 to 15 minutes, to be completely invulnerable to damage in most gameplay, even a ranked war zone. So there you go. Yeah, so that's a pretty serious exploit there, obviously, especially if you're doing ranked or
or is it
operations
a feature?
Or whatever.
We need that feature to become. Well, I mean, I guess
it's called story mode.
Story mode, right?
Since it's been a while since we had an exploit out in the wild, I wanted to post a few reminders about what to do with an exploit. If you hear about the existence of an exploit, do not test it yourself. You are risking action being taken against your account. Immediately report the exploit to BioWare staff only and privately. You can do this via an in-game ticket, and I recommend sending myself a direct message here on the forums. Do not post about any exploit on the broad forums. It is against the forum rules and can lead to action being taken against your account. In other words, they don't want people saying, "Hey, there's an exploit in the game that lets me do this. Jump through this wall or whatever."
Right.
Or avoid this boss or or whatever. Insta-gib this operation boss or whatever it is. I'm just coming up with ideas off the top of my head. Those are not known or actual exploits. But anyway, what they're saying is don't just post it on the forums, because that just spreads the idea that or spreads the potential knowledge that there could be an exploit in the game. They'd rather you just send it as a bug ticket, or as a direct message to Eric or someone like that. And then now the exploit has been extinguished, we'll begin the process of looking into exactly who exploited, when, how many times, and to what gain. Once we have that information, we'll then take appropriate action against those accounts. I do want to thank all of you, both privately and in the forums. Many of you, bad, don't do it. But they did report it in the forums as well, because he hasn't talked against that in a while. Many of you reported this to us, which allowed us to work on addressing it. One question that does come up around exploits is why we aren't more communicative about them as we discover them. Although I understand the desire for us to acknowledge them so that we are working on them, the truth is that as soon as we post about it publicly, we greatly raise the profile of that exploit, which then causes more players to check it out for themselves. For that reason, we stay quiet, work to resolve it as fast as possible, and then report back.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they're kind of dealing with their own problem that they're citing in their post.
Right. So there was a concern about that later on. One of the players said, what happened? Basically, what happens if this person accidentally sort of stumbles into this exploit, and are they going to get punished for it? And maybe that's a good reason to be talking to the player base about exploits ahead of time. And what Eric says, well, this is a fair point. That we absolutely take into consideration whether or not they knew about it, or whether it was accidental when determining what action we take against accounts. If it is something someone could do accidentally versus something they need to do intentionally, that's one thing. Typically, it is crystal clear whether someone was using an exploit intentionally or happened upon it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can tell probably the way they look at the game.
Mm-hmm.
They probably just stare at the code streaming like the Matrix, and they know what all of our tunes are doing, but it's just digits walking around.
So all they see is blonde, brunette, redhead, exploiter, essentially.
Yeah.
All right, and
they've never seen anything move this fast before. Chill. Must be a win trader.
Right. There's the post about the boss for Killsick the Swarm Lord, about what the problem is and why it's working sometimes and not others. What's happening now is that Killsick loses health when a Guardian dies, and this health loss can kill him. If this damage kills him, then the Guardian gets the credit for the kill instead of you. This only happens if a Guardian dies while Killsick himself is as low health, most consistently around 4% or so. That's the fix we're working on right now. In the meantime, until we get the fix released, we'd recommend burning down Killsick's Guardians while Killsick has a good amount of health, as that will get around the problem. So there you go.
So now, just a handful more people are aware because I decided to have the mind trap on that one. So,
right.
Just a few, though.
Yeah. There was an update, sort of a maintenance update as well, for... this would be the one from today for the 14th. Some of the things that they sort of touched on that were bug fixes that are kind of cool. I'm glad that these are going away. Companions won't show up more than once in the Companions and Contacts list after using the autocomplete functions when beginning Kotfi, Kotet, or Jedi Under Siege. And players who are already in this state have had the duplicates removed. Sith warriors who have Vet as an active companion will no longer experience intermittent game freezing, which is something I definitely heard about. Never quite experienced it because I wasn't on an actual warrior. I brought Vet out a couple times, didn't experience any problems with her on other characters, but I wasn't on a Sith warrior. But apparently that was sort of like specific to the Vet issue. Yeah. Companions whose influence level disappeared have been restored to their correct influence level, so that's good. Issues with some companions becoming unsummonable have been corrected. And the world bosses on Ossus will now really award proper kill credit for Flesh and Steel and Masterwork Data Crystal missions. So those are all obviously very solid. However, they did say that in a different post that the 30-meter companion range bug, where companions just sort of sit and stare at and look at the enemies if they're more than 30 meters away instead of moving into range and doing something. Unfortunately, that one they're still working on. On a personal level, this was not mentioned in that post, but I've found that the 30-meter range bug really only applies to ranged companions. Melee companions, even if you start them from a fight further out, they will advance and then use their leap or whatever, or do something else. So it really does seem to be related specifically to ranged companions, and obviously that sucks if you're only 50 as a ranged companion, but I'm just letting you know that that's a bit of a workaround for some people anyway.
Yeah.
That can actually help. So there we go. Let's see. And they do have people, and however, one thing they did say about that issue is that they have people actively working on a fix. So there's no, we don't know when the fix will come, but they've known about it for some time. They've definitely posted about this for pretty much since it started popping up. But now we know that they are actively working on it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Why does Lana have 4 different face models? I love this post. I love the ones that are sort of like under the hood sort of ones. And Eric wrote, I don't recall a new face being added between Kotfi and Kotet, but it's possible someone went in and touched up the textures a bit and I've just forgotten. As others have mentioned, the transition from the first to the second was to show the passage of time. Lana's the first character you see when you're pulled out of Carbonite, so having her very visibly different helps to convey that a lot has happened. As for the final face, you all already know that it's to make her customizable. But I'll give a bit more detail there. In other words, what he's saying is there's like the cutscene Lana, and then if you take off that her customization, so you can actually like change her gear and stuff like that, then she goes back to this other face, and so that's yet another face essentially, and it's kind of in between her other faces in a way. It's not exactly like the new face, but it's kind of close to the old face, but it's not exactly the old face either.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So she's recovering from the Sith cold.
Yeah, she had a little she caught the bug again.
Yeah. Well, bugs are everywhere, Chill.
Exactly. And as for the final face, you know it's to make her more to make her customizable, but I'll give a bit more detail here. Kotfi Kotet Lana wasn't constructed the way our player characters and most NPCs are made. She was a totally custom model, like Arkan, Valen, Valkorian, and so on. Customizable characters have different technical requirements and limitations. So, in order to make her customizable, a new version of her head had to be made. Those technical differences are the main reasons she looks a bit different in that version. Pretty cool. Nice.
So, Chill, I just want to let you know that I'm coming up at the point where I need to exit the show for today.
All right. There's only one or two other bits. I think we can kind of skip that one. I do want to talk about the rumor, though. Now, this one really is rumor, and we don't really do a lot of rumor stuff on the OotiniCast. That's not really our bag. We'd rather talk about things once they're actually announced or whatever. But this one was so interesting that I just thought I'd bring it up. There is a rumor out there. It's the main one that I found is under We Got This Covered, and there's a huge HTTP link in there. But basically, as far as I can tell, it's basically one writer who's claiming to have talked to some people at the Disney. At Disney, but there's not really any sort of proof, and it certainly has not been actually announced. But the rumor is that an Old Republic-based show may come to Disney's upcoming streaming platform, which would be very cool. So obviously, they do need to have a lot of shows in order to actually, sort of justify the entire streaming platform. Disney obviously has a lot of past material. They've got all the Disney movies, the animated movies, and the live movies, and all the TV shows from, the Disney Channel and all that stuff. But on an ongoing basis, they're going to need new stuff too, or else how many people are going to subscribe, just so they can, watch the Mickey Mouse Club, from the 90s or whatever, or the 60s for that matter.
Yeah.
So we already know that that this is not part of the rumor. We know for a fact, that there are several shows that are going to be coming to Disney that are Star Wars related. We have The Mandalorian, and then, like you mentioned earlier in the show, Doc, there's going to be the one that's related to Rogue One, which sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And there are other ones apparently that are, there's other ones that are rumored, but nothing specific. But apparently they're also talking about doing a series based on, and they specify actually Knights of the Old Republic. So I'm not sure how that would tie in with SWTOR or not, or if it would really be based, the few hundred years before in the KOTOR period, that happens before SWTOR. But it would be very interesting to see that. I would love to see, I'd love to anything that brings HK back is fine by me, basically.
Yeah. Did you ever read the Dark Horse comics series Knights of the Old Republic, Chill?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
Okay, well,
how was it?
I liked it a lot. It was tied into the original KOTOR and KOTOR 2 in the sense that, Carthonasi is in a couple panels, and it shares information and settings, but it didn't follow Revan. It didn't follow the Rakata technology or anything in particular. It was about the Jedi Order and what the Sith are doing in their inherent battle in that Old Republic universe. And then it created some characters, you know, one's being framed for a really terrible thing and trying to clear their name and meeting people along the way, if I remember right. So the reason that this post makes me think of that is just being in the same setting, there's so much fertile ground to creatively explore that I think this would be an automatic yes, let's figure that one out. It doesn't interfere with our movie timeline, but it has the Force, it has the Jedi, and it has a fully functioning faction of Sith who have an empire behind
multiple
them.
Sith, yeah,
Yeah,
not just the two, but like hundreds, thousands even of Sith, just like there are thousands of Jedi. Yeah, I agree with that. Something else that would be nice. I mean, this is again, this is just rumor and it's very speculative. I'd be surprised if nothing came of this, if this was either manufactured completely,
wishful thinking,
right? Or let's face it, like it's unlikely that nowhere in Disney has anyone not ever uttered the words, maybe we could make a show set in the Old Republic. You know what I mean? And then all it takes is that someone walking away from that and then talking to a reporter about it. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that anything is really going to happen. But if it did, it would be great. It would be it would certainly bring a lot of attention to the Old Republic period of time, which right now is in this really weird nebulous spot because it existed before Disney took over. They were allowed to keep going. They've more or less said that they don't really consider SWTOR especially canon. So in other words, they're essentially allowed to do whatever they want to with it, which could be nothing. They could just leave it alone. They've always been happy to let SWTOR roll along because they were telling interesting stories and because, you know, people are still interested in the game and so on. But also because it's set far enough back that it really didn't interfere with anything they were doing with the other movies. And, you know, I mean, you know, no matter, you know, how many planets they blow up in SWTOR, I mean, unless it's something that's named later on, you know, in one of the movies or whatever, there's not that much that, you know, there's not that much that SWTOR can do to sort of change canon, essentially, in terms of the Skywalker saga and so on. So, you know, but let's just say it happened. I would be thrilled. I mean, for me, that would be, because I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to like subscribing to the new Disney Channel streaming thing, because it's like, yeah, The Mandalorian sounds really cool and some of the other stuff sounds really neat. You know, but it's like, oh, do I really want to plunk down for it? Well, if it had an Old Republic show, yeah, I would. Okay. I would 100% be subscribed. I'd be all over that. So there you go.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna probably be subscribing pretty soon, or pretty early on in the launch phase, no matter what they do. So, you know, I'll let you know how it is.
Excellent. All right. Well, I know that you're just about having to head out. We'll just do. There's just one bit on the force feedback. This is from SWTORista. Hello, everyone. There's a video about everything we're doing for SWTOR for Star Wars Celebration, and they're so excited. Hashtag SWTOR family, and then I'll put a link to the YouTube video. If you haven't subscribed to SWTORista's YouTube channel, she does a lot of great stuff there, and some of the more recent stuff is about what they're doing for Celebration. And of course, Dekian and Fee, our guild leaders, are going to be there. And I really do want to see if we can't get them onto the next show, because that's the last show before Celebration, because Celebration is basically 4 weeks from today. And so we'll either be doing a show, you know, like if we do it on Thursday, it'll be the first day of Celebration, or maybe we'll end up putting it off and doing it after the Cantina happens. I'm not sure, or maybe we'll have to figure that out when we're a little closer.
We can shift the schedule around if that makes sense.
And SWTORista has done a couple of nice shout outs to the OotiniCast, and specifically to Dekian and Fee, which is awesome. So thanks, SWTORista. We're really looking forward to seeing what you're able to do there, and can't wait for the Cantina either. So much good stuff coming up. So exciting. So Doc, anything else?
No. The circle's complete, Chill.
All right, then. That's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /c join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Thursdays, usually at 6 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby, and thank you to the chat room, and we hope that Fibro Jedi feels better soon.
Yep, may the Force be with you, Fibro.
And we'll see you next show. All right, folks, thanks for coming. Appreciate your coming on this unusual time. So excited for Celebration. Can't believe that's only 4 weeks away now. It's gonna fly by. It's gonna be like right on top of us, essentially. So very exciting. Thanks for coming today, though, everyone. And everyone send their best wishes to Fibro. Okay, tweet it out to him on Twitter, especially. That's where he seems to like. He tends to spend a lot of time. So send your wishes to Fibro Jedi, and yeah, and like I say, we tentatively have him scheduled for 3 shows out, and we'll go from there. But you guys take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. All right, I'm going to stop the stream, and let me get to the Hangout, stopping the broadcast.